This video is going to be all about 3D views and presentation inside of Revit. I'm going to be showing you different approaches, tips and tricks on how to get the perfect 3D view in Revit, and I'm even going to be showing you a cool VR tool. Let's go. Now quickly before we jump into Revit, I would just quickly like to tell you about today's video sponsor, Yulio. Have you ever finished a Revit model and then wonder, how do I actually show this to my client so they get it? You can send screenshots or a walkthrough video, maybe even a 3D PDF, but they're still seeing it kind of on a flat screen. What if they could actually step inside of the model? With Yulio, your Revit model becomes a fully immersive VR or AR experience in just a few clicks. No exporting, no complex setup. Clients don't need to imagine. They experience your design, explore it in 360, and actually understand what you're showing them. So how does it work? You open up your Revit project and launch the Yulio Jump plugin. Choose your camera views, pick the best angle of your space, select your lighting style, interior, exterior, or Revit environment. You can also apply neutral materials to just focus on the form. Then you select the floor plan and toggle on hotspot generation. Yulio builds your navigation automatically. Just click upload and your project goes straight to your Yulio folder, ready to present. Then just open up the project in any browser or headset. Let clients explore on their own or guide them in a live meeting where you see exactly what they're looking at. You can even upload renders from Enscape or other rendering engines if you prefer. Yulio keeps everything interactive. It's simple, professional, and built for how architects actually work. You've built it in Revit, Yulio brings it to life. There is a 30-day free trial available on yulio.com. The links will be available up in the cards above and also down in the description of this video. Now, without any further ado, let's jump straight into Revit. And here we are in Revit. So we already have a 3D view, and this is what you call an orthographic 3D view, which means that the lines are parallel. So there is no perspective. These two lines here are parallel. These vertical lines are parallel. Everything basically is parallel. There is no warping with perspective. Now this default 3D view is going to appear in the 3D views like this. So it's going to be 3D in parentheses. Now if I go to another view and perhaps delete this view, whenever I go here to the quick access toolbar and click on the default 3D view, or you can also find it here on the view tab, the default 3D view, it's just going to open up that view, and that view is going to appear here under 3D views. So even when it's gone, whenever you click on the default 3D view, it's going to create it immediately. Now this default 3D view is usually going to be something that's like a working view. So this is what you use to work in Revit, and then you create other 3D views for the actual presentation itself. Now when it comes to settings, first things first, let's set up the size, and the size is basically set up by scale. So just like any floor plan, elevation, or section, you have a scale. It's available here in the properties when nothing is selected in the view, and also it's available down here. So you can set up any of the basic scales, or you can go to custom and then create your own custom scale. Another thing that's really important is going to be the graphic display options. They're located over here where we can set up kind of the visual style, but also we have further options in terms of the graphic display options. Another way to get to it is here in the properties panel, graphic display options, and it opens up the same menu. Now let's take a look at this menu. So first here we have the style. So for example, if I go to realistic, hit apply, this is going to, well, then become realistic. And next step, we have the show edges. So when you're in realistic, you can opt for not showing the edges. So it's going to look a bit cleaner, a bit more realistic. But for working really, it makes more sense to just have the show edges on. And actually, I prefer working in hidden line. It's going to be a little bit faster, and you can always switch to realistic quickly to set up the materials and see how everything looks. Next, really important is the smooth lines. So you can see how these lines, they look kind of wiggly and like a bunch of horizontal lines that are gonna put slightly offset of each other. Well, if you turn on the smooth lines and hit apply, as you can see, now these are cleaner. So this is something that you can use. It's going to slow you down a little bit, but not anything crazy, so I suggest you use this option. Then the next one that I like to use is the shadows. So I like to cast shadows and also show ambient shadows. So now it's going to look like this. However, now it's a little bit too dark, so let's go here to lighting, and then I'm just going to set the shadows down to, I like to go with 20 or 30. Let's go with 20 now, and then for these we can go like that. Bring this up a little bit and hit apply and OK. And now this is the visual style that I prefer to use when working in Revit. Now, another really good feature for 3D views, or any views, but especially for the default 3D view, is going to be your section box. So that's over here, you have the section box, and then if you click that on and hit apply, it's going to create a section box around your entire model. So now if you move this, what you'll see is it's basically just going to cut into the model so you can see inside of it. This is a really powerful view just to see if everything looks okay and if we need to fix something, and it's really cool just as a presentation view as well. Now I'm just going to check off the section box, and I'm going to show you another way to use it, which is going to be by selecting something. So I'm just going to make a selection like this. Then I'm going to go to filter and just check none and check the stairs only. So let's find the stairs. Okay, check the stairs, hit apply. Okay, so now the stairs are selected, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and on the modify tab we have the view panel, and there we have the section box. BX is the shortcut, and when you click on that, well, it's going to create a section box going around the stairs. Now this section box, I can bring it up a little bit, I can change it perhaps so we can see the stairs better, but there we go. We have just created a section box around the items that were selected, and this is also a really cool way to work and also a cool way to present things. Okay, so that's the default 3D view. Now let's take a look at perspective views or camera views. To create a perspective camera view, I'm going to navigate to the site plan over here, and then on the site plan we can see the building, and now let's use the camera tool, which is here behind the default 3D view. So you just open up the drop menu here and you find the camera, or on the view tab below the 3D view we have the camera tool. So select it wherever you like, and now it's time to place it. So this is really important. What you'll notice here, first we have the perspective checkbox. You want to keep this on because you obviously want perspective. Then we have the scale, which is grayed out because the perspective is on, and then we have the offset and the level. So the first click is going to be where you place your camera. See, there's a little camera on screen, and the offset is usually going to be something that's kind of considered the average eye height, which is 1750 millimeters, and then the level is level 1. So if I click over here, I can place that camera, and now as I extend, I'm placing my target. So for the target itself, I can also adjust the offset and the level. So here, instead of level 1, I'm going to set this to level 5, for example. So it's kind of looking a little bit up. And then I'm going to click over here and see what that looks like. And this is basically the result that we get. So we have our camera, and it's a little bit too close to the building. So what I can do now is I can go back to the site plan, and then here I'm just going to turn off, I'm just going to click off to the side, then go to crop view and uncheck crop view so you can see more. Then I'm going to go back to the camera, and here you want to select the camera window, just this line here, the crop, go back to the site plan, and now you can see the camera is selected. So now I can just select this camera and drag it away. So the target stays there, and the camera is moved away, and now when I go back to the 3D view, it looks like this. So it looks a lot cleaner. Now, at any point, you can make further adjustments. So, for example, here we have a 3-point perspective, which means that it's basically warping on 3 sides. So, for example, these 2 lines are going off to one point, these 2 are going off to another point, and then vertically, all of these are going to another point that's really high up. Now, if you don't like the 3-point perspective and would like to have a 2-point perspective, which means that the vertical lines are going to stay vertical, well, you can adjust that by going here to the properties, and then for this camera, make sure that the eye elevation and target elevation match. So I'm just going to Control C the eye elevation and Control V to paste it here for target elevation, and then hit apply. So now the camera is going to tilt down, obviously, because the target and the eye elevation are at the same height. And then you can just adjust the crop like so, and now we have that 2-point perspective effect. So if this is something that you want to use, this is how you achieve that effect. Once we have this view, what you can do is you can always orbit around. So the orbit function will work the same way it does with the default 3D view. Just keep in mind that as you orbit, it will mess up the eye elevation settings usually. The target is usually going to stay the same, but the eye elevation is going to change, so it might kind of warp your perspective a little bit. And of course, at any time, if you want to go back, you can always go here to the navigation wheel, find the full navigation wheel, and then go to the rewind function, so like this. And then as you go back, see how it's kind of going back into our changes. So for example, if I was happy with this, I can just pick that, close down the navigation wheel, and this is what we have. Now, also something that I would like to show you is how you can set up the size of this view. So the crop size is over here. This is the current values. I'm just going to click scale so it keeps the proportions, and then I'm going to say, okay, I want this to be 250 millimeters. So this means when you place it on a sheet, it's going to be 250 millimeter width. Now I'm going to be showing you the section box for these perspective camera views, but there's a really cool way to use them kind of automatically without turning the section box on yourself. So let's say we want to create a cool 3D section for this building. What I would do is I would go to some mid-level, like level 3 for example. Then I would go to the camera view and create a camera kind of interior view somewhere like this, for example. And this is what we have. It's a nice interior view, really cool. However, now what I can do is I can go to the 3D box, right click, and then go to Orient to View, find Sections, and find my Section 1. What this will do is it's just going to create this section box, and it's going to be cutting through the building. Now we cannot really see it well, but if I turn off the crop view and hit apply, now if I zoom in, you can see we basically have that section 1 as a perspective 3D section, and this looks really, really cool, especially when you turn on the shadows, you play a little bit with the lighting adjustments. It can look really, really amazing. And this is going to conclude today's video. So check out Yulio, as I've mentioned, it's going to be the first link down in the description. And also, if you would like to get access to this Revit project file or any of my other Revit project files, they are available on my Patreon page. That's going to be the link up in the cards above, and then also down in the description of this video.